There it is. All right. Hey, what's going on? Charles Austin here. And let's be fit forever. All right. I never really explained let's be fit forever, right? I say that at the beginning of every video. What does that even mean? Well, it's very simple, right? In order for us to live healthy and happy for as long as we can, we have to remain fit and we have to be fit forever. Otherwise, it's lights out sooner than you want. Okay. But we're going to talk about one of the ways to shorten your life if you're doing everything wrong, or maybe some of the things that we can do to extend our life if we do things a little bit better. And that topic is hypertension, right? It's probably something that all of us have heard about. We've heard the word hypertension. Okay. What is it? All right, and why is it such a big deal? We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But remember, as always, make sure you like this video. The button's right below me. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you also need to make sure that those notifications are on so that you get an alert every single time I make one of these amazing, incredible, informative live streams, all right? So again, let's go ahead and jump into today's topic, which is hypertension, all right? So let's go ahead and start out defining what hypertension is, all right? So if we define it here, all right, and we look at it, it's very simple. Okay, excuse me. It's very simple, all right? Hypertension is a fancy way of saying high blood pressure, that's like the technical term. And I like to think of it, and if you go to medical terminology, scientific terminology, right? Anytime you see this hyper in front of something, that just means that it's more, or it's greater, all right? We got too much of, right? So basically what we're talking about here is we have too much tension, okay, in our blood vessels and in our heart. Okay, and that's a recipe for disaster if you don't take care of it, right? But if we really break it down here, high blood pressure is unfortunately, y'all, this is the part that I hate. Okay, it's a common condition, and it doesn't have to be, but it's a common condition in which the long-term force of the blood against your artery walls and I don't have it with me. I thought I had one. Where'd it go? Anywho, I'll just make one with my hand, right? Where basically the long-term force against your artery walls is high enough that it may eventually cause health problems such as heart disease. And real quick on heart disease, if you don't know, heart disease is numero uno on the United States cause of death, and also globally as the cause of death. And the crazy thing about that is heart disease is almost always, forget what the medical community is going to say, forget what the doctor is going to say, right? Heart disease is almost always preventable. Now, again, before you start knocking what I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. I said almost always, right? So there are scenarios where genetics come into play that you can't control. But we're talking about the factors that you can control, all right, with heart disease. But we're not talking about heart disease. We're specifically talking about hypertension and high blood pressure, okay? So, again, I like to use I normally have like a paper towel roll for this because I really like to use that as a way to illustrate how difficult it is. And if you see me looking around, I thought I had one here. Oh, well, I'm going to use my hand, right? So if you think about your artery, and I'm going to show you an image here in just a second, but if you think about your artery, right? Your artery is basically like a tube, okay, where blood has to go through, right? Blood has to go through. Blood is constantly going through, circulating throughout your body. And as the definition stated, that it's a long-term problem with pressure building up against your artery walls, right? And how does that happen? Well, it happens based on blockages. So if you didn't watch my video on what cholesterol is, I would check that out as well after you get done checking this one out, right? But basically, we have these tubes where blood has to flow through. And over time, right? Man, I'm really lacking today, right? Oh, here's a good example. I got a sock here. We're gonna make this cholesterol, right? Um, so basically, what we're talking about is we have a tube, right? And over time, when we start adding too much stuff, and by stuff I mean cholesterol and fatty deposits, you see how this opening is much more narrow now. Okay, all right. My sock serves as cholesterol, blocking your blood vessels, and over time, when this blockage takes place and it's not cleared, you don't change your habits. It forces pressure to increase inside these blood vessels, and therefore, uh, unfortunately, the result is hypertension, high blood pressure, right? So, a lot of times you'll see. So, here's the image I want to show you, right? So, look at this. This is kind of like the regular healthy artery, okay? This is what you want. Everybody should strive and dream to have this healthy artery where, and what we have here are these little donut shaped things here. They're all red blood cells, okay, just to illustrate blood flowing through this blood vessel. And there's no resistance here. There's no problem with flow. There's no hang up in the traffic. This is basically exactly what you want, all right? So, I didn't mean to click that. Anywho, that's exactly what you want. If you look over here at this other image, we can see these fatty deposits and this cholesterol and plaque buildup in your arteries. And now, again, we're having a resistance to flow. Now your heart is working harder. There's more pressure inside this artery, and that's the recipe for disaster. So I'm going to keep coming back to this image throughout the day. So if you've ever had your blood pressure taken, you'll normally hear, oh, it's this number over this number, right? It's 130 over 84. It's 122 over 76, whatever, okay? What we're talking about is this first number here, all right? This is the top number, okay? And we call that systolic pressure. And this is basically the pressure in your arteries when your heart beats. So you kind of have like a contraction, relaxation, contract, relax, as your heart continues to beat throughout the day, throughout your lifetime, right? So when your heart is contracting, it's beating, this is your systolic pressure, okay? The bottom number, all right? So again, when they say 120 over 80, that 80 is your diastolic pressure, okay? And this number is when your heart is relaxed or not contracting, if you will, right? So we got systolic, diastolic, right? That's kind of how your pressure works, okay? So this top number here, this bottom number here is a excellent indicator of your overall health, okay? And the reason for that is this is literally the time when your heart is kind of like taking a break almost. You know, it never really takes a break, but it's not doing as much work because it's kind of relaxing, right? So when the pressure is high in a scenario where your heart is relaxed, that's a problem, okay? So there's a few things that can affect your blood pressure, and one of those is this thing called stroke volume. So this is a super long article on stroke volume. We're not going to read the whole volume, whole article, but I only pulled this up because I wanted to show y'all this thing here, this definition on stroke volume. And what this refers to is the volume of blood, or the amount of blood, if you will, that's ejected each beat. That's it. That's all we're going to get from this article, this long, peer-reviewed scientific journal. The only thing I wanted to pull up here is that stroke volume is talking about how much blood is pumped with each beat. Okay, well, why the heck is that important, right? We'll talk about that in just a second. So if we go back here to, what blood pressure is, again, we're talking about the pressure exerted against the walls of your arteries over time. Okay, and as that pressure rises and rises, it puts more strain on your heart and your blood vessels, reducing circulation, and resulting in a lot of different things that we'll talk about here in just a second. Okay, but why the heck is stroke volume important? Well, you have to compare this. Okay, if we had person A, and they pump the same amount of blood as person B. Okay, but person A, for whatever reason, they only take 2 beats to pump that same amount of blood, but person B needs 4 beats. So you have to ask yourself the question, well, who lives longer? Whose heart is more efficient? Well, obviously it's person A, because they're pumping the same amount of blood in 2 beats that the other person is pumping in 4. Okay? So over time, that wears on your heart, that wears on your blood vessels, and that's where we have problems. Okay? So what I wanted to do is I made this nice diagram. Okay? And it literally outlines how blood pressure kills. You know what? Before we get there, let's talk about some of these symptoms. Oh, wait. Generally, there are none. Okay? This is why they call blood pressure or hypertension the silent killer. Why? Because there really aren't any symptoms. Okay? You don't normally wake up and say, oh, my blood pressure's acting up. I need to take a nap. No, that's not how this happens, right? Generally, you don't necessarily notice that there's a problem until it's too late. Okay? So it says, when should you see a doctor? Well, everybody should know their blood pressure. So if you're somebody who has never taken their blood pressure and you don't know what it is, it's time to start changing that today. All right? Go make an appointment, get a blood pressure reading, go to a pharmacy or whatever, get your blood pressure taken, okay? So as it says here, some of the causes of high blood pressure. It says no identifiable cause, but let's think about this, all right? I like to go straight to risk factors here, okay? And I don't necessarily call these risk factors. I like to think of these as causes, right? Now, obviously, as we age, everything gets a little bit worse. That's just natural. So let's move on from that. All right. Now these two right here, we're gonna save these two for last, because this is the biggest lie told in the medical community. All right, that race and family history, 2 of the biggest lies, and I'm going to explain why at the very end. Okay, but let's continue on. Obviously, being overweight is an easy cause for high blood pressure. So the more normalized your weight is, the better, right? Not being physically active. If you're not regularly challenging your heart and your lungs to be more efficient and to be more trained to do what they do, that's another reason why you could have hypertension. Tobacco, all right? Too much salt, all right? Too little potassium, okay? Drinking too much alcohol, stress, all right? These are all things that kind of lead into having hypertension, all right? And the interesting thing about all of these things, stress, alcohol, diet, all right, tobacco use, physical activity, body size, weight. These are all things that are in your control, okay? So this is why earlier when we said, hey, blood pressure is a common condition, it doesn't have to be, okay? So, and here are some of the complications that are associated with high blood pressure, right? Well, we got heart attack, stroke, heart failure, dementia, right? This is one that nobody likes to talk about because most people hear the word dementia, they think of Alzheimer's, they say, oh, when you get old, you get dementia. No, all right? I read a book once where dementia was referred to as diabetes of your brain, right? Well, dementia really is about blood flow, okay? So as it says here, narrowed or blocked arteries can limit blood flow to the brain, leading to certain types of dementia, okay? So again, we need regular oxygen and nutrition to our brain just like we need it everywhere else. And if you're not getting that, you could cause damage to your brain in different parts of your body as well. So I think most of y'all kind of know all these things. You've probably heard this stuff a little bit before. But what I wanted to do here is let's bring you back here. Okay? So again, this is like my favorite new creation. And what this slide does is it really illustrates exactly how dangerous and how serious hypertension is and why more people, including you, should be taking this thing seriously. All right. Lots of people ask me all the time, well, hey, why do you why do you work out? Why are you vegan? Why do you drink water more than anything? Why do you do these things? Why? Well, again, I don't want to have to deal with a reduced lifespan. I don't want to deal with pain and discomfort throughout my life. I want to enjoy it. Okay, that's what it's all about. Okay, so let's start here. One of the ways we start getting ourselves into a situation where we have where we have hypertension is we start off with poor diet and we don't exercise. Okay, I wish I had the data on that. We'll save that for another day. But there's a large portion of the population that has a terrible diet, and on top of that, they don't exercise. They either do it too little or they don't do it at all. Oh, well, what is the result of that? Well, the result of that is restricted blood flow. Okay, so poor diet and lack of exercise, this is the result. Okay, so again, when you're eating plant-based diets and you're eating foods rich in fiber, drinking lots of water, doing these things, this is what you'll have in your blood vessels. All right, but when you have lack of exercise and poor diet, this is how your blood vessels look. And again, we're talking about restricted blood flow. Well, what does that lead to? Well, that leads to increased arterial pressure. Okay? Well, again, that goes back to my example that I did earlier where we said, hey, we have this artery and it's all clogged up. Now, the pressure inside our arteries increases because there's a restriction of blood flow. Okay? Your vessels are working harder to get that blood circulated throughout your body. What is the result of increased arterial pressure? Increased heart rate. Okay? So now, if we go back to this image, again, your heart is trying to pump the same amount of blood you see over here through this blood vessel. That's a problem. So once you get a restriction to this flow from all this plaque and all this fatty deposit and cholesterol, all that stuff, now your heart is like, well, I need to work a little bit harder. I need to increase my heart rate. Why? Because I'm not able to produce the same amount of blood in one beat that I was before because of that restriction. Taking you back to stroke volume. Okay? So now our heart rate is up. So what's the result of our increased heart rate? Well, we have a decrease in atrial fill. What the heck is that, right? Well, let's go here. All right? This is just a diagram of your ticker, your heart, right? And we have these things called atria. You have a right atrium and you have a left atrium. And basically what they do is they fill up with blood in order to pump it and move it to your ventricles, okay? So what happens is as your heart is trying to circulate blood more because it's increasing its heart rate, well now, because of the increased frequency of those beats, now we're having less filling of these parts of your heart that need to load up with blood in order to get it moving where it needs to go, okay? So now we have less filling of blood, okay? What does that lead to? Let's go to number 6. Now we have decreased ventricular pump. Well, what the heck is that? Let's go back to the diagram, okay? Decreased ventricular pump, right here, these ventricles, all right, all they do is they pump blood where they need to go. It's either going to your lungs for oxygen or it's going to your aorta to be circulated throughout the body, okay? But if we have less blood filling up here, we're going to obviously have less blood pumping throughout our body, okay? What does that do? Well, there we go. There's that word again. It decreases your stroke volume. So now, instead of having a lot of blood with each beat, with a nice, healthy pulse rate, heart rate, now we don't have the same amount of time that we would have had to fill up and circulate blood. Now our stroke volume is lower. Okay, we've already talked about how that plays a role. What does that result in? Decreased cardiac output. Okay, this is just basically how much blood is pumped throughout your body in a minute. That's it. Okay, no need to spend more time on that. What does that result in? Decreased heart function, because now our heart is working overdrive to pump blood through an artery that looks like this. Okay, and what does that result in? Shorter lifespan. Okay, shorter lifespan. Um, feed is choppy. Ugh, I hate that. I'm gonna have to work on that. So again, if you think about this, if we take it back from 10 and we drew a line directly from number 1 to number 10, think about the choices that you're making each and every day. My poor diet, my couch potato mentality is directly correlated to a shorter lifespan. Okay? And we just outline exactly how this works. Okay? Exactly how this works. Right? So I'm pausing just for a minute to let that sink in, because I think a lot of us tend to focus on the fact that, hey, I want to enjoy my life. Well, yes, you should. But at what cost? Right? Now, people ask me all the time, well, hey, you're vegan. Do you get to eat? Man, my food is delicious. And if you ask any other competent vegan, they're going to say the same thing. My food is delicious. I love it all the time, right? So the point is, you have to think about what is the cost of all the burgers, all the cheese, all the pizza, all the fried food. What is the cost? Oh, let's go ahead and put this back up so everybody can see. Here's the cost. Shorter lifespan. And again, if we go back to the very beginning, we said that hypertension is a common condition. Well, it doesn't have to be. Because at the end of the day, poor diet, lack of exercise, these are choices. Okay, and we've outlined exactly how many steps, all the things that the result is if we're just talking about high blood pressure. Now, we could make a chart on this for so many other chronic diseases. We'll do those on another day. But we're just talking high blood pressure. Now, I'm getting ready to wrap up here, getting ready for a little Q&A here in just a second. But I did want to come back to this where I said, hey, we're gonna knock out the biggest lie in the medical community related to blood pressure. And that is this lie. And that's right, I'm calling it a lie. I'm not afraid to say that. It is false. It is not true. Now, let's break this down here in a couple minutes and then we can wrap up. Let's read it. High blood pressure is particularly common among people of African heritage. Let's pause there. Is that a fact? Yes, it is. That is a fact. But we need to get into the why. Okay? Often developing at an earlier age than it does in whites. I'm not going to touch that. I don't know what whites is, but anyway. I guess they're referring to European descent. Not sure what whites means. All right, anyway. Serious complications such as stroke, heart attack, kidney failure are also more common in people of African heritage. All right, let's break this down. I wish this would have been more encompassing, because what they also do, if you go to 10 other sites, they'll link in the Hispanic community into this as well. Okay? So for my Hispanic brothers and sisters out there, they lying to you too. Okay? So, here it is. Here's the other part. Family history. High blood pressure tends to run in families. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to have a tie to genetics. Okay? They're not saying it in this particular site, but they're trying to have a tie to say it's genetics and look, African people, African heritage, whatever, right? So here's the thing. It has nothing to do with your genetics, has nothing to do with the DNA or any of that stuff as to why that this is more common among certain groups of people. All right, y'all ready? Here's what it is. It's behaviors. All right, I'm going to take this screen share off, and I'm just going to talk to y'all real quick as we wrap up. All right? Has nothing to do with your DNA, your genetics. It's about behaviors. You have to think about the fact that if your grandma cooked fried chicken every Sunday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, whatever it is, with mac and cheese, all right, with pork chops, with French fries and smothered in gravy, right? Whatever. If your grandma made that, she's gonna pass down that behavior of cooking down to her children. Okay? They're gonna cook the same things. They're gonna pass that behavior down to their children. They're gonna cook and eat the same things. They're gonna pass those behaviors down to their children, and so on and so forth. Right? So those are behaviors that have been passed down that are causing the high blood pressure. Okay? If your grandma ate enchiladas filled with meat and cheese and tacos filled with meat and cheese and empanadas and nachos and everything and burritos, all these things filled with meat and cheese. Okay? Then they're going to pass those behaviors down to their children. And then now they're going to eat burritos and nachos and tacos and enchiladas filled with meat and cheese. Going to pass those behaviors down, down, down. So all you're doing is passing down high blood pressure, high blood pressure, high blood pressure. Has nothing to do with your genetic makeup. It's the behaviors that's been passed down over and over again. So what you have to do is you have to break the cycle. You have to say, I'm not going to eat meat and cheese all the time anymore. I'm not going to fry everything anymore. I'm going to start eating plants. I'm going to start drinking water. I'm not going to drink sweet tea, right? I'm not going to drink alcohol all the time. I'm going to do different things, and we're going to break the cycle and start living longer and start living fuller, all right? Cool. All right, and actually, we'll be doing a video just about that to break down the science behind that a little bit more. We'll be doing that at some point, but I just wanted to touch on that so that whenever you go to a website, and you see, as a matter of fact, I just want to do this real quick, all right? I know I want to wrap this up, but I just want to do this real quick just because I'm thinking about it, okay? Let's do hypertension, okay? Let's look that up, and we're going to go to a couple of sites. I just want to see who they say. This is the CDC, all right? I want to find out risk. All right, let's see if we can find out who is listed. There it is. There it is. Now, is this one of the ones that says that target certain groups of people? There it is. There it is. Y'all think I'm making this stuff up? You're wrong, right? There it is. Race or ethnicity. Now, why y'all think it is that certain groups of people are always... All right, anyway. Oh, didn't I tell y'all that depending on what site you go on... Oh, and look at this. They went even a step further. They literally called out every ethnic group that exists almost on planet Earth, right? Look at this. Hispanics, Asians, Pacific Islanders, American Indians, Alaska Natives. Oh my gosh, right? But for whatever reason, I'm not sure about who they're talking about here, but I'm guessing that's referring to African heritage, right? Pressure earlier in life. So you got to consider the source. You got to consider what is the message, what is the reason behind this message. Again, you could go to 10 other sites, and I guarantee you're gonna see the same stuff. And wow, they really added every single ethnic group on planet Earth to say that you get blood pressure higher than more than. So I know this is a little long-winded, but I got to finish with this. All right. The reason why this is here, right? And I'm going to go deep on y'all real quick, and we're going to wrap this up, see if we got any Q&A. But the reason why they list this, as a matter of fact, hey, let's just do one more site. Let's just do one more, okay? So we've been to CDC. We started out here on Mayo Clinic, and y'all know I love Mayo Clinic, but that information. All right, let's go to the World Health Organization. Ooh. All right, let's go to America. Let's go here. Okay. Let's go here. Let's just see what we find. That's an interesting word right there. Facts. I don't know about that. All right, so here we go. Where can we find the information on risk factors? All right, let's see. And I'm doing this live, y'all. Obviously, I didn't prepare these slides. I prepared all my other stuff, so I'm just searching for this. I'm trying to find what are the risk factors. I'm trying to find their page on risk factors. Okay. Silent killer. Love that part. All right, maybe I can't find it just now. Yeah, this one's a little harder to find than before. Anyway, I'm not gonna drag this on anymore. I don't know, y'all. I really want to find one more good site. This one was just hard to find. Let's see if we can do one more. WebMD. Why not? Why not, right? People go to WebMD, check out stuff. I do, right? Let's see. Causes. Can we find it here? Is it possible? Oh, did I see it? Oh, snap. Oh, snap. I told y'all. It doesn't matter where you go. We've already been on Mayo Clinic. We've been on, where else did we go? We went to CDC, right? Well, there it is again. As soon as I saw that word right there, I said, there's the section I need. Look at that. Okay. Now, the funny part about this is this part is actually true. This part is true. They don't get into the why. And that's what I'm about to do real quick. All right. And I'm about to talk to y'all. Oh, look, here we go. Who is more likely to develop high blood pressure? Always singled out. Always singled out. I keep telling y'all. All right. And like I said, on the other list, they literally listed every ethnic group on planet Earth. All right. So I'm going to talk to y'all real quick and we're going to wrap this up. And I'm going to do a whole stream on this subject. But here's why they constantly feed that lie that says if you're Hispanic, African descent, Pacific, whatever, right? They put all that on there. The reason why they continue to put that on every single page that's a reputable site, they put that on every single page so that when you do get high blood pressure, you say, I'm more likely to get it. And then where do you go straight from there? To the doctor and the pharmacist to get your pills. It's the first place you go. You don't go to a dietitian. You don't go to a nutritionist. You don't go to a fitness trainer. You don't go to a health coach. You don't go to a functional medical doctor. Ooh, what is that? We'll do a whole series on that. You don't go to any of those places. You go to get pills to lower your blood pressure when all you got to do is stop eating meat and cheese and get up and walk. But if they continue to feed that information that, hey, you're more likely to suffer this condition because of your ethnicity, then when it does happen, and it will happen if you continue to pass down those behaviors that we talked about, when it does happen, you'll say, I'm African American. I'm supposed to get high blood pressure. I'm Hispanic. I'm supposed to get high blood pressure. I'm Pacific Islander. I'm supposed to get high blood pressure. So when it does happen, you don't even think twice. You go get the pills, and that's a wrap, and you're shortening your lifespan. So instead of doing that, change the way you live, change the way you move. All right? Q&A time. I know I went longer than I had. I planned, 34 minutes. That's a long one. I had no idea I was going to go this long. Who has questions? Let me check my, see, I be telling, I tell my friends and family, like, when you're on the stream, type the question into the stream so that everybody can see the question, but then they text me. It's weird. Anyway, and then look, all right, I'm sorry. I almost laughed at the question a little bit. I apologize just because I was in the zone there for a little bit. So, the question was, how do I let me read this thing again. Now I messed it up. Oh, okay. I messed it up anyway. What is the number one way to improve my blood pressure? All right. Eat plants and move. Next question. All right, no, really. Honestly, the number one way you can help reduce your blood pressure, improve your blood pressure, is to, number one, you need to check what kind of medications are in your medicine cabinet. Because lots of times, like we've talked about more than once, um, certain medications will fix one thing and cause 10 other problems. Okay? So you want to check that. You're going to want to check your diet, obviously. Okay? Foods that's going to add to your, again, I'm just going to show this image one more time so y'all can see it. All right, and I'm about to get off of this thing because I'm hungry right now. So I want to go eat some foods that feed my body and fuel my body, not destroy it, right? But I'll put this up here again. So you're going to want to stop eating your foods that include meat and cheese that are fried, dipped and battered and all that kind of stuff because you're going to add to this going on in your blood vessels. So you're going to want to check your diet and you're going to start increasing your fiber intake yesterday, okay? Where do we get fiber? If it's a plant, it has fiber, okay? You're going to want to drink lots of water. You're going to want to cut out sodas and sugars. You're going to reduce caffeine, things like that. And you're going to want to move. Lots of sites you go to, they're going to say 3 times a week. That ain't enough. You need 4 times a week, okay? Walk, jog, crunch, Pilates, doesn't matter. Move, okay? That's the easiest way. Good question, though. All right, y'all. Hopefully there'll be some people that sees this, that needs to see this, that didn't catch it live. Man, I feel like this might have been one of my best streams ever almost. Fire! Anyway, again, make sure y'all like this video, subscribe to the channel so that you can always be up to date on all the latest content because we got plenty more coming. And also, keep in mind that if you go to fitnesscharles.com right now, you can find out how you can be part of my Fit Forever family. You can also try my 3 times the burn fitness training program for free, 2 weeks for free. You can check that out there again on fitnesscharles.com. How many YouTube lives have I done so far? I don't know, 15? I don't know, something like that. Anywho, I will see y'all next time. Charles Austin, fitnesscharles.com, Charles Austin Fitness. I'll see y'all later. Bye.